Welcome back to the Kerbal Space Program. Today we are continuing our modded career. Our last step was construction of Minmus fuel depot, which will help us in our interplanetary missions. But before we can leave the safe cradle of Kerbal system and live into the dark beyond, we have one last target to visit: the moon. So we are going to do just that. Here is our magnificent spacecraft. Of course, it could have been much easier and without that much of a weight. We could have, for example, didn't take the whole science laboratory with us. We could have just taken additional set of science juniors and goo containers. But it is less fun that way, is it? So here we are approaching the moon. And let's do some science in the high orbit. Let's take one of our brave carbonauts and ask him to move all the science to the capsule. Perfect. So now we are going to circularize around the moon. We are going for the polar orbit, and you will see why in a second. Almost there. Let's ditch our interplanetary stage or transfer stage and complete our circularization around 75 kilometers. And now we're going to gather gravity reports from around the whole moon, all of its 15 biomes. As this is kinda a long process, as it requires us to first orbit the moon in high orbit and then in low orbit many times until we get all the biomes, I'm going to cut the video and I'll see you when I'm done. And here we are. All reports are gathered, both high and low orbit. So let's think about landing this thing. There is a very nice crater over here. And we can probably land somewhere on the northern side of it. Maybe we'll even be able to get to another biome and get more science. So let's lower our angular velocity or lateral velocity or horizontal velocity, however you want to call it. And gently fall down to the surface of the moon. Here we are. Landed. Is it the most efficient landing? Hell no. Is it one of the safest ways to land? I think yes. The more efficient way would be to do a suicide burn in the end of our descent, but that would require a bit of calculations, which I'm not very keen on doing. So let's take our carbonauts and transfer them to the science laboratory and ask them to clean the experiments. It's basically the only thing why we have the laboratory with us. Now let's do the science. Plant the flag. One giant leap from a spaceship. Take a surface sample, EVA report, and do all other science which we can do. Apparently the seismic detector was changed by the Interstellar mod, and now it is an impact detector, so we can't use it. Probably we'll use it later. Alright, all the science is done. Now let's take the carbonauts from the science lab and ask them to move all the science in the capsule. Also move themselves in the capsule. Let's take the last one. and move him in the same direction. Alright, everything is done and we can leave. Yeah, don't ask. Just don't ask. I kind of forgot that there is a bit of fuel in the first stage and it launched with us. And regarding the moving to another biome, unfortunately we can't do that because we have very limited delta V budget. We could have probably moved to another biome, but that would mean that we would leave very little fuel for a return trip, and we might just have not enough, just a tiny bit not enough. So let's not risk it. Alright, let's get home. We are going in a retrograde orbit around the moon, or burning to the west and getting our apoapsis higher and our orbit longer. What we're going to do next is we're going to continue burning retrograde to the direction of the moon when we are on the far side from it, from Kerbal, not from the moon. And as we are increasing our velocity in regards to the moon, it will also decrease our orbital velocity around Kerbin, I don't know, and will lower our periapsis around Kerbal and will allow us to safely re-enter without much of a trouble, just like that. And a periapsis of 30 kilometers should be perfect, because we have the dead re-entry mod, and we can't just slam into the atmosphere with the excessive speed and angle. And we are already almost back. One of the radiators decides to hitch ride with us, but is destroyed by the shock heating. So we are falling down to the surface of Kerbal. For some unknown reason, our RCS thrusters have less temperature than the capsule. I have no idea why. And we deploy our parachutes at approximately 3000 meters and safely splash down in the ocean. Now let's see how much science we got. Our little mission got us 2500 science points, and that means that we can unlock some of the more advanced nodes. For example, we can unlock those big rocketry parts, 3.75 meters in diameter. We can unlock the latest in the electric technology, and we can unlock the power transmission. So let's take the big rocketry parts, the RTGs, and the electric power transmission. And at this point, I have to say thank you all for watching. Remember to like, dislike, and comment this video in the section below. My name is Darlock, and I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye!